introduction part. So to give you an introduction to online social network, as we know that today's session, we will see why do we need to study networks. Then what are the different areas of research which you can think of when you're talking about online social network. A few examples to explain what exactly you need to look into when you're talking about social networks, how a network is represented, and what are the characteristics which can be used to analyze a network, or which are important parameters when you talk about a social network. So to start with, uh, consider an example of traders who have a connect with their friends. So let's say if a trader is to sell his products or his goods to the consumer, so generally, and way is you go and find out people to whom you are friendly with, or people who are relatives to, and then you tell them that these are some of the products which we have started working on and we want to sell it into the market. So if you have any references, you can just share them with us, and we can sell those goods. So this is also a type of a social interaction which we have among the people when we talk about offline social network. So this is what is an offline social network, which we do keep doing it on day to day basis. We have been doing this in everyday life till now, till the concept of online social network came in. So similarly, similar structure of what an offline social network is, that on similar lines is what online social network is. So if I want to let's say purchase a particular item, or if I want to share some information into a group of people, what I generally do is I post it on a Facebook page, or I post it on a I tweet on a Twitter, and then the information spreads. So why does this happen? It's because it is being shared by friends who are in your circle, and then it is in turn shared by the friends it in a bigger group. So this is how the information propagates or percolates in a network. So similar things happen, and therefore we need to study networks. So there are many economic, political, social interactions which are shaped by the local structure of relationships. Like as I said, whether you are a friend with A is a friend of B is a friend of C, and then is A and C a friend. So these relationships, identifying these relationships, finding out the connects between the networks that we have, and then using those connects to accomplish whatever we want, maybe in terms of purchasing something, or buying something, or selling a good, or propagating a message to someone. So this is what we have been doing offline, and the same thing is done when you talk about an online social network. So there are different trades of goods and services, or you want to share some information, or you want a favor. So obviously when you want a favor, if you are in some difficulty, you will go and ask for your friend to do you a favor, rather than going to a person who is unknown to you. So the same thing happens when you talk about an online social network. The data which is being transmitted or propagated in a social network is through the connects that you have. Similarly, transmission of viruses or opinions. You post a blog or you post something on Facebook and it goes viral. So the reason being because your friends acknowledge that whatever you are sharing is correct, and therefore they share it forward, and then their friends share it, and therefore it becomes viral. So that is what happens, and therefore it is very important that you keep a watch on what we are sharing and what opinions we are posting on social network. Also, social network also affects the choices of behavior or education a person wants to take in. Like when you talk about a behavior, it is related to, let's say, a friend of yours is watching a particular movie. So it's quite obvious that you will also go along with him to watch the same movie, because it is you are a friend with him because you have some similarity or some likings or similar likings, and therefore you bound to stay together. So that is also one of the concept wherein you can study the behavior in a network and find out whether few peoples are together in a community, and then they make similar choices or they do not make similar choices. Similarly, it's related to education. A student who has just passed out 12, he is more likely to make selections of an university or a college based on what where his friend is going to take admission into. So these choices we have been doing offline, but then when we it comes to online network, we need to study the internal structure of the social network, how the network is represented, what are the characteristics that have to be considered, so that you can make a proper decision, or you can argue on a particular references that you want to make on from that network. So these are different, you can say, domains where social network is going to make a difference, or rather is making a difference. Other than this, social network also influence behavior. So it can be related to crime or employment or human capital, and so there are different parameters. So you also social network, when you say it is, it can also be based on pure network structure. Like you only want to know that what type of structure is underlying when for a particular application. So let's take an application of people who are talking about COVID-19. So what type of structure or what type of people are commenting on a particular topic? Who are talking more about vaccination? Who is talking more about the death rate? Who is talking more about finding a solution to the pandemic, or how to uh, uh, be in this situation at home, how to stay safe. So there are different communities which you can think about when you have a particular application also. So studying those structures and then identifying communities based on different characteristics is what you are allowed to do when you talk about networks or social network. So there are many literatures which deals with network. It is not only limited only to computer science engineering. It is related to sociology, as I have said, that it is how a person is bonded with another person, how a person is social. So the main work of social network starts from sociology, then it is into economics, computer science, you name the field, or mathematics in general, obviously, because when you represent a social network, it is at the base, it is nothing but a graph which is used to represent a social network. And then different, you can say, different methods which are being applied onto this graph to analyze the network or study the characteristics of the network is what matters. And therefore there are many literatures which are available to networks in different domains. So if you want to research onto this, these are the different domains which you can think of, or different applications which you can think of, in which you can apply your concept of social network structure analysis and do your research in one of these domains also. So to talk about the latest news, this is as per the report of 2016. YouTube had 3 million movies which are being viewed every day. Facebook has around 2.5 million pieces associated with information, around 300 million of photos which are being published every single day. So it is a huge amount of information which is available online, and this data needs to be this data which is available needs to be analyzed so that you have some information derived from it. Twitter, as been said, Twitter posts around 500 million posts are being posted every day, and there are around 2.1 million research inquiries which come every day to Twitter for people who are working into Twitter domain using the Twitter data also. So this plays a very huge role when you talk about why we should study social network, because the statistics over here tell you that there is huge amount of time which is being spent by the people online. It is almost every I doubt if any one of you after the session in the morning have not checked your Facebook or Twitter or your Insta post. So it's almost 80% of the time which we are spending on online nowadays, and this is what we are doing now. But if you observe the younger generation, they are spending much more time onto the online social network. So businesses are targeting social network for different purposes. Digital marketing is in boom now because people are online more rather than going and doing door to door marketing. People are targeting digital marketing, and because the people are available, the customers are available online. So if a business wants to increase their sale, or they want to target a customer or give some certain recommendations to a customer, what they do is they use social networks, study their customers, how they are correlated to each other, how decisions they are making, what items they are buying. All this is studied at the background. when you get any recommendations or any post related to use a particular item on your Facebook page generally. So this is what goes at the background. Many algorithms methods are being used so that they can increase the business and increase their sales. So when you talk about social networks, there are three areas of research which can be thought of. The first is theoretical domain, wherein you can find how a network is formed, what are the dynamics which are involved when a network is being formed, what are the different parameters which can be taken into consideration, how a network will influence a particular, you can say, a tweet or a post being viral into a system or in a network. Co-evolution is how a user from network A can go to network B, maybe because of some changes or some decision making being done. So all these studies can be done or research can be done in this domain, which are related to theoretical approaches, and their methods and characteristics which can be used to study all these. Then there are some research work which can also be done in empirical and experimental work, wherein you observe the patterns or you observe the network, you observe how the influence spreads, and observe how the users are being identified. So these are also some domains in which you can think of doing your research if you plan to. And another third domain is wherein you plan to work at the structure level, wherein you want to analyze and measure the network. When it comes to structural level, there are different characteristics which can be used related to the graphs. Graph theory comes into concept. So using those concepts, you can analyze and decide how a network evolves or how a network can be measured or it can be analyzed. So these are broadly categorized key areas in which research can be done. This graph is from a paper by Kent in 1978 and Paget and Ansels 1993. It is related, the graph represents nodes which is representing a family. So these are the families which are represented. And the link between them represents the linkage related to the marriages. So let's say Medici is having a connect with Hidolfi, wherein there is some marriage relationship between the two families. So this was a graph or this was a concept which was done by author Kent in 1978 Florentine marriages, and it was observed that Medici, in spite of being he not being famous or he not being rich, there were more number of connects from him to the other families in the network. So this is just to show you that how in a graph the structure or a position of a node is also important when you talk about studying or analyzing that network or deriving something from that network. So this is to help you understand that nodes it can be represented as a user, or it can be a player or an actor, or it can be a country being represented as a node, or it can be a group of communities being represented as a node, depending on the application that you want to work on. The nodes and the edges can be defined accordingly. This is another graph by Jackson and Golub in 2012. This is related to representing how the edges can be used to show the relationship between countries. So France and Germany, in between the Greece.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, you just keep your mic closer to you so that the voice will get clear actually.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry. Okay. So this graph shows that how these are related to each other in terms of the trade which is being done between the two countries. So this edge gives a representation of that. So depending on the application, you can use nodes, you can use edges to give you information about the entire application. So what do you know now? We by seeing this, we know that network plays an important role in many settings. As we have seen that jobs generally it is through contacts. Also, when you talk about crime, it is through contacts most of the times. uh, Making any risk taking or sharing risk is also in contacts. We do not go and do with a third person. So there are different applications when you talk about how network plays role in many settings. Also, network position and structure also matters. As we have seen in the previous example, Medicis was not the wealthiest, nor he was the strongest person politically, but he was a central point for many of the families because he was related to many of the other families in the, as was seen from the graph. So social network have some special characteristics also, which are called as small world or degree distribution. So small world is related to the concept that if in a world of let's say some billion of population, if I want to connect to a person in some another country, the maximum number of connects that I will need to connect to that person on an average is of 5 or 6. That is what is called as small world or degree of contribution, and this is based on a concept or a experiment which was being done by one of the authors, which we'll just see. Before that, this is a background of some definitions and some backgrounds of the different notations and words which we'll keep on hearing for the next 5 days. So when you talk about a social network, it can be defined as a graph in which vertices are people or groups of people, and edges will represent some kind of social relationship or social interaction between the vertices. And a structure of a social network is commonly framed as a graph. So if you have network N, G represents the graph in that network. Then when you talk about social network analytics, it is more about the process of investigating the social structure through the use of networks and graphs theory. It characterizes network structure in terms of nodes or ties or links. So there are different terms which can be used, but social network analysis, you have tools and methods and algorithms which can be used to analyze the network. That is what it means. So if I have to represent a network, I have nodes as represented in a graph. So I can have n number of nodes. This can be called as nodes, or it can be called as vertices or agents or actors or players. When it comes to game theory, there is a concept of game theory. It is generally called as players. When it comes to other concepts, it is called as agents. So these are different terms which are used when you talk about a node. An edge can also be called as links or ties, wherein it means it is a connection between the two nodes in the graph. So graph Gij is equal to 1 indicates that there is a link or some relationship or some tie between the nodes in the graph, which is represented by vertices I and j. Now this links or this edges or this ties can either be weighted or they can be unweighted. They can be directed or they can be undirected depending on the application that you are trying to work on. So they can have intensity, which means it can be weighted. Assuming that if I want to find out how many hours do two people spend together per week. So two people can be the two nodes in the graph, and the number of hours that they spend can be the weight of that age. Similarly, if I want to find out the cost of traveling from one place to another within a country, two countries can be the nodes and the cost can be the edge or the weight associated with that age. So there are different ways of representing it depending on the application. Another example is of an unweighted graph wherein where you have to find whether two researchers have written an article together or not. So either you have yes or no. So it is 0 or 1. Or are two friends, people friends on the same social platform. So there are different applications. Depending on the application, you can use either weighted graph or unweighted graph. Or there can be cases wherein some graphs are undirected. So an example is of co-authors. If I want to find out for maybe some journal related to maybe Springer or IEEE, I want to find out whether all the authors are co-authors or not for a particular degree of diameter or particular number of nodes. So obviously the graphs will be undirected, because if author A is co-author of B, author B is also going to be co-author of A. So the graphs can be undirected also. So depending on the requirement of the application that you are going to work on, the graphs can be of different types. Now, as we know that how to build a graph, or what a structure is of a social network, there are different definitions which you'll need on the way. So the first is related to path. A path is a walk wherein each node ik should be distinct. So in short, it is nothing but moving from node 1 to node k, and all the nodes on the way from moving from 1 to k are uh, included in the path, and the provision and the compulsion is that the node should not be repeated, and then only then you say that it is a path. If it is repeated, it becomes a walk. Okay. Then a cycle is wherein you come and you come back to the node from where you have started. Then there is a concept of geodesic, which is the shortest path between the two nodes. So if two nodes are connected, and or they are not connected, if I want to reach from node A to node B, what is the shortest number of path? In this, the path can be related to the shortest number of hops, or the number of edges that I need to travel from node A to node B, so that I reach that destination. So these are some of the graphs which will help you understand what a path and a walk is. So if you consider graph, this first one, here, if I want to move from node 1 to node 7, I will take the path from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 5, and then to 6, and then to 7. Now here you will observe that there is no repetition of node, and therefore it becomes a path. If you take this scenario wherein I have to move from 1 to 7, when I'm traversing from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, I have to move back to 3. So here 3 is repeated, and therefore it is not a path, it is just a walk. And cycle, as you know, that when you come back to the same node, it is a cycle. Okay. There are some other terms like diameter and average path length, and why they are used. If, let's say, if I want to find out how close the nodes are to each other in a network, let's say I have a network of 100 nodes, and I want to find out how long will it take for a message from node 1 to reach to a node 100, if that is the last node in the network. Now this can be found out by using the concept of average path length and diameter. It helps you to find out on an average how much hops, or how many times you have to move the information from one node to another, so that the information goes and reaches to the node which is required. Or it also helps you to find out how fast the information will spread in the network. So that means how many nodes will come in between before the information is viral in the entire network. So all these questions can be answered if we can use the concept of diameter and finding the average path length. Or this also will depend on the density of the network. Density of a network is how many edges does maximum number of edges a particular node is having. So that defines the network density of the given graph or the given network. So to find a small average path length, there was a famous experiment which was conducted by Milgram in 1967, which is said as a letter experiment. What he did is he had few envelopes being prepared, and in each of the envelope, he had written a note for the person to whom it was handed over. It was written that you need to hand over this envelope to any one person that you know. Okay. So the envelope was supposed to reach to a particular destination. The address was written in it. So if I am person A, I have to pass it on to person B, to whom I know, and person B will pass it on to person C, whom he knows. And this experiment was carried out, and it was observed that to reach to its destination, on an average, the letter was being handed over to 5 people so that it could reach to the required destination. And this was observed for 25% of it, whereas 75% of it were not able to reach to its destination because the path was longer or it was being handed over to more number of people. So it is observed that this forms a basis to what we say as the small world experiment, wherein if I want to connect to any person who is unknown to me, I need maximum 5 connects to go on an average to go and connect to that unknown person in the world anywhere. So based on this concepts and this experiment, most of the social network average path length or how does an information propagate in a network is based on this concepts. Then there were different studies also being made, like to find out the co-authorships, what was the mean. It was on an average 7 hops or 7 nodes need to be traversed. For economics, this was the first one was for mathematics, work related to mathematics domain. The second was done related to economics domain, the authors in the economics domain. It was found that on an average 9.5 is the mean for this, and so on. So here, if you observe, on an average, it comes to around 5 to 6 as the average path length which needs to be traversed if I have to move from one node to any other node which is unknown to me into the entire network. So for a large graph where the value of n is very high, the average path length and the diameter are approximately proportional to log n upon log d. And this was proven by Edros Rennie, wherein different authors have worked on it, and it was observed that this is an average path length which is required for any network to propagate an information into it. So if you observe, this is what is called a small world or 6 degree of separation. So if you say that if n is 6.7 billion world population, and if the diameter is 50, which is related to the friends and relatives that you have, so on an average, if I want to connect to any person in this world of 6.7 billion population, I need 6 connects, and that will help me to connect to anyone in the world. So this is what is called as 6 degree of separation when you talk about a social network. Now, there's another concept which is called as clustering. Let's say in a network, if I want to identify which are group of people which are similar to each other, okay, and to find out this cluster or to find out this group of people, the clustering concept is used, or the clustering parameter can be used, wherein if I is a friend of K and I is also a friend of J, then identifying how J and K are related to each other or J and K can be friend is what is called as clustering. Okay, so the average clustering is given by finding the averages of all this divided by the total number of nodes you are having in the graph. So this average clustering, this clustering coefficient, it quantifies the extent to which a node in the graph tend to cluster together. So this is a very important concept which you will need if you are going to work on community detections, or you want to find out how closely the nodes are related to each other. The clustering concepts help in that. Then there are some measures which are related to centrality. These are very important parameters or characteristics when you talk about analyzing a social network. So the first is degree centrality. This tells you the direct number of connections a node will have. And what in this matters is not how many direct connections it has, but it matters how where those connections lead to and how many they are not connected to. So this is an important study which can be done when you are analyzing a graph. This helps you to identify what type of node it is, how closely they are bounded to each other, how a network is bounded to each other, or how a node is bounded to each other in a network. Then there is another measure which is called as closeness centrality. This gives you the information about how a particular node is bonded to all the other nodes in the network. So if, let's say, if it is a network of 10 nodes, it gives you closeness centrality, gives you an idea about how node 1 is attached, at what level it is attached to node 2, to node 3, node 4, node 5, and all the other nodes in the graph. That is what closeness centrality means. Then there is another called as betweenness centrality. This tells you the degree between two vertices with which those are directly connected to each other. So let's say if again a network of 10 nodes, node 1, if it is having a high betweenness centrality, it means that it is connected to more number of nodes in the graph. Okay, so these are different parameters which can be used to identify or analyze the network. Betweenness centrality is generally used how two different communities are connected to each other through which node. So if you have community 1 and community 2, and these two communities in a network are connected through a node, let's say B, then if that node B is having higher betweenness, that means it is playing a very important role in the connection of those two community networks. So these are the different parameters which are again very important when you are analyzing the social network. We'll be seeing in detail these centrality measures when on 22nd, when we will be seeing some of the tools. The tools allow you to see these measures easily by analyzing the graph. You can see how the difference can be noted and what values it actually gives when you apply the centrality measures onto the graph. Okay, so this is just one of the graphs on which I had been working. This was captured in 2018, which was related to different tweets. It's a Twitter data which was being captured for a duration of 6 months, and the different topics which were talked about in that duration. So the color identifies that there were different topics and the different nodes that were speaking about those different topics. So this is one of the representation which shows that using the graphical view, you can easily analyze the network, the type of network that you are having, and it becomes easier to analyze the network also. Whereas this graph shows you the size of the node. The size of the node explains the centrality measure of the graph. So there are some nodes which are having a bigger size, whereas some nodes are smaller in size. They give you the intensity of the centrality measures, whichever is being measured for that graph. So all these things will be seen on 22nd when we'll be seeing one of the tools which is used for social network analysis. Now, these are few more terms which you will keep listening to, as I have said, community and community detection. So when you talk about community, it is a set of nodes which have similar likings, and they tend to be together so that they can share the content among themselves. So if you take an example of, let's say, Twitter data, if you observe for the last 1 week, the content that is mostly talked about, it will be mostly related to it can be COVID pandemic. It can be related to the results of 12th standard. It will be related to UGC notifications, which are uh, government bodies for taking the exams. So there are different communities which are people who are talking about different things in the Twitter network. If you try to analyze it, so these communities, the color similar, show that these are communities. So this is community 1, community 2, and this can be identified on the basis of different parameters. Like there is a concept of homophy which helps you identify that which are the nodes which are similar to each other. So nodes which are similar to each other tend to be together, and depending on that concept is the community detection best. So there are different algorithms available for community detection. You can use the concepts of graph theory, wherein finding subgraphs will help you find out the communities within a network. Then there is another concept called as information diffusion. So an information diffusion is when an information flows from one individual in a community to another individual in the community or to another network. So we say that the information has diffused, or we say that the information has propagated, or we say that the information has spread, or it has become viral. So these are the different terms which are used when you talk about information propagation or information being viral. So it is moving of information from a particular node to different nodes in the network, not only into the network, but to other networks also. So when you talk about information diffusion, it is based on the concept of social influence. So let's say if I have tweeted something today and it has been liked by some of my friends, so they retweet my account. So let's say 3 of my friends retweeted. In turn, it will be retweeted by some of their friends, and this is how the information keeps on moving ahead. So this is called as a social influence graph. This is an influence graph. Another simple example can be a citation influence graph. If you want that your paper's citation or research publication citation should increase, then what you need to do is you need to ask your friends to cite your papers. In turn, when their friends cite your papers, you get a higher visibility and the citation increases. So this is another example of how an influence graph works. Just a second, I went back. Sorry for this. Just a second. Are you able to see the screen? I'm sorry, technical glitch.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible. Yes, ma'am, it's
Hello,
visible. Hello, ma'am, it's
am
visible.
I audible? Yes. Yes. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, as we saw that how information is propagated or it is being viral in the network, there are different uh, categories of network properties which you need to know when you are talking about. If you talk about social types, one is structural, wherein if you structure of the social network, there are different characteristics which can be used to analyze. And if you're talking about a relational network, then parameters which can be used to study the quality of the network it is. So when you talk about uh, structure of a network, you need to know the size of the network. You need to know you need to know the density. The diversity is how different the people are in the network. So this will depend on the different attributes associated with the network. So a node will have, depending on what application is, have one attribute, it can have two attributes. Edge can be only one attributed or it can be multiple attributed. Similarly, there is a concept of structural holes which helps you understand that how the nodes or in the two different networks are connected to each other. And then there is a concept of cliques which help you to understand how closely the nodes in the network are related to each other or they are not. And then centrality, betweenness, closeness. So these are different measures which you can use if you have to analyze the network. Depending on what you are required for that application, these different measures can be used for analyzing. Similarly, when you talk about the quality of the network, it will be dependent on the strength of the ties, how much strong network is the network is, how strong is the network bonding. So this is called as what is the confidence in the network, and all those different terms can be used. Then accessibility, there is a concept of reputation social network which you can go and just google sometime, which is also one of the domain in which work can be done. Then dependency, trust in social network is also one of the field which you can think of working on. So these are the different categories of networks properties which can be used depending on what type of application you plan to work on, and what is the objective of the work that you have to carry out. So to summarize, many relationships are network, and understanding network structure can help understand the behavior and the outcomes. Networks are complex but can be partly described by some characteristics like degree distribution or clustering or centrality measures. Many observed social networks are more clustered than would arise at random. So this brings me to the end of the session. These were some of the references. You can connect